For many years, theories and speculations about the actual location of the biblical King Solomon's tomb have been widely spread across borders and passed down to generations until one man and his team of scientists ended the falsities. Just recently, Eilat Mazar and his team set out to find the palace of King David when they stumbled upon a site they didn't expect: King Solomon's tomb.
In the Triple Gate, where the Jewish people in the Second Temple period went in, and here it was found just under a surface layer.
What makes this discovery strange is that most existing theories about the tomb's location claim it doesn't exist or is beneath the Temple Mount. So where did Eilat Mazar and his team find the tomb? And what has their extensive research on the site shown? Watch this video until the end, because all you've always known about King Solomon's and King David's resting place might have been false all along. The City of David. In 2010, a group of scientists and archaeologists led by Eilat Mazar from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem found the location of Solomon's tomb. What makes this discovery so mind-blowing is that they aren't searching for Solomon's tomb in particular. They were looking for something else, something bigger. Eilat Mazar and his team were digging in the oldest part of Jerusalem to find King David's palace when they saw a high wall segment that was about 210 feet long. It had a gatehouse, a corner tower, and a royal structure. The archaeologists were shocked by the size of the wall segment and thought it might be part of an even bigger building, like a temple or palace. The archaeologists were excited about this discovery because they had a hunch it was connected to King Solomon's reign. They used radiocarbon dating to figure out how old the site was, and it seemed to match the time when King Solomon was ruling. Eilat Mazar said that this was the first time they had found a structure from that period that might match the written descriptions of King Solomon's buildings in Jerusalem. Finding King Solomon's temple has been a big goal for archaeologists for a long time, and this discovery was a historic breakthrough. The wall segment was found in the Ophel area, which is considered one of the most ancient parts of Jerusalem. The site is believed to be where King David's palace was, and the discovery of the wall segment has given us new information about the area's history. According to biblical tradition, King Solomon, the famous king of ancient Israel, was buried in the City of David. Because of this, the City of David is an area that is considered to be part of ancient Jerusalem. Before recent exploration by scientists that have yielded their final finding of King Solomon's lost tomb, archaeologists have searched for decades to spot King Solomon's resting place. Why? Because King Solomon is one of Christianity's favorite biblical kings. He was the son of King David and became king right after David. Solomon is famous for his wisdom, wealth, and the building of the temple in Jerusalem, which was a very holy place for the Israelites. His reign is described in the Bible, mainly in the books of 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles. The City of David is named after King David, Solomon's father. It is believed to be the oldest part of Jerusalem. This area is south of the modern-day Old City of Jerusalem. Archaeologists think that this is where the original settlement of Jerusalem began. In the Bible, the City of David is often mentioned as where King David established his capital after he conquered Jerusalem from the Jebusites, a group of people who lived there before the Israelites. When King Solomon died, the Bible says he was buried in the City of David. This means that his tomb was located in this historic area. The exact spot where Solomon was buried is unknown today, but the tradition holds that it was somewhere in the City of David. The City of David is a very important archaeological site today. Many excavations have been done there to uncover its ancient history. Archaeologists have found many interesting things, such as ancient buildings, walls, and tunnels. These discoveries help us understand more about the history of Jerusalem and the people who lived there. One of the most mind-blowing findings in the City of David is the Siloam Tunnel, also known as Hezekiah's Tunnel. This tunnel was built by King Hezekiah, another king of Judah, to bring water into the city. It shows the advanced engineering skills of the people living in Jerusalem during ancient times. That's not all. Another important discovery is the large stone structure, which some archaeologists believe could be the remains of King David's palace. This large building is thought to date back to the time of David and Solomon. If this is true, it shows that the City of David was a major center of power and administration during their reigns. Apart from these structures, many artifacts have been found in the City of David. These include pottery, tools, and inscriptions that give us more information about the daily life of the people there. Some of these artifacts date back to the time of King Solomon. The city of David also has religious significance. For many, it is a place of deep historical and spiritual meaning. The traditions and stories connected to this area, such as the burial of King Solomon, are an important part of the heritage of Jerusalem. Today, the city of David is a popular tourist site. Visitors can walk through the ancient ruins, explore the tunnels, and learn about the history of Jerusalem. The site provides a fascinating glimpse into the past and helps people connect with the city's history. For decades, archaeological excavations in the city of David have revealed many structures and artifacts from the period of the United Monarchy, which is the time when kings like Saul, David, and Solomon ruled Israel. Their discoveries include various buildings, walls, and other structures that give us clues about how people lived and the city's appearance during that time. One of the top discoveries in the city of David is the large stone structure. Some archaeologists think this might have been part of King David's palace. This building is very large and would have been a suitable place for a king to live. It is made of big stones and shows that the people who built it had advanced construction skills. Finding such a structure helps us understand that Jerusalem was an important city during the reigns of David and Solomon. Another important structure is the step stone structure. This is a massive stone support system that was likely used to support large buildings above it. It might have been connected to the large stone structure, forming part of an even larger structure. These kinds of constructions show that there was definitely building activity in the city of David during the United Monarchy period. Archaeologists have also found many artifacts from this time. These include pottery, tools, and inscriptions. Pottery helps archaeologists date the site's aging because pottery styles changed over time. Tools and other objects give us an idea about people's daily lives. Inscriptions, although rare, can provide valuable information about the language, administration, and events of the period. While they broke records by finding these important discoveries, past archaeologists could not find any royal tombs that could be definitively identified as belonging to Solomon or his successors until recently. There are several reasons why the royal tombs were not found during their excavations. One reason could be that the tombs were not yet uncovered. The city of David is a large area, and not all of it had been excavated when they found the artifacts. It's possible that the tombs were still hidden underground, waiting to be discovered. Another reason could be that the tombs were destroyed or heavily damaged over time. Jerusalem has a long and rough history, with many wars and invasions. Buildings and structures from ancient times could have been destroyed or buried under later constructions. Archaeologists continued to search for these royal tombs, as finding them would be a groundbreaking discovery. They knew it would provide more evidence about the rulers of ancient Israel and give us a better understanding of the burial practices of that time. Even without the royal tombs, the findings in the city of David were precious. They helped archaeologists and scientists piece together the history of Jerusalem and the people who lived there during the United Monarchy. Each discovery adds to our knowledge and helps us understand the past more clearly. Before the tombs were finally located, of course, there were numerous unbelievable and convincing theories, especially the theories of hidden chambers. We bet you'd want to know about this. First, some theorists believe that the tomb of King Solomon might be hidden beneath the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is a very important place in Jerusalem with many historical and religious significance. It is a sacred site for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Because of its importance, many people are very interested in what might be hidden there, including the possible tomb of King Solomon. The idea that Solomon's tomb could be beneath the Temple Mount is exciting, but actually also very complicated. The Temple Mount is home to several important religious structures, like the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the Dome of the Rock. These sites are very special to many people, making it a susceptible area. This means it is very difficult to do extensive archaeological work there because it could upset many people and lead to conflicts. Because of the political and religious sensitivity of the Temple Mount, archaeologists cannot freely dig and explore the area as they might in other places. This means that even if Solomon's tomb is there, it is very hard to find it without being able to investigate properly. The theories about hidden chambers beneath the Temple Mount remain just that, theories, because there is no concrete evidence to prove them right or wrong. Some historical accounts and traditions talk about royal burials near or within the vicinity of the Temple Mount. Some ancient texts and stories suggest that kings, including Solomon, might have been buried close to this sacred site. These stories add to the mystery and the theories about where Solomon's tomb might be. One of the reasons people think Solomon's tomb could be near the Temple Mount is its connection to the First Temple. The First Temple, also known as Solomon's Temple, was built by King Solomon and was a very important place of worship for the Israelites. It was located on the Temple Mount. Because the temple was so important, it makes sense that Solomon's burial place might be nearby. Some historical texts hint at hidden chambers and secret passages beneath the Temple Mount. These texts suggest that there could be rooms or tunnels where important things were hidden, including possibly the tombs of kings. But without being able to explore these areas, it is hard to know if these stories are true. There have been limited archaeological investigations around the Temple Mount, but they have not uncovered definitive evidence of Solomon's tomb. These investigations are often done very carefully to avoid changing anything in the site. They have found many interesting artifacts and structures, but the mystery of Solomon's tomb remained unsolved until Eilat Mazar found it. If Solomon's tomb is truly at the Temple Mount, unlike what Eilat Mazar claims, it would be a big shock, not just for him and other archaeologists, but for everyone interested in history and religion. This isn't the only theory that has ever existed about the location of Solomon's tomb. More theories about the location of Solomon's tomb. Now here's another theory. Before the tomb was finally found, some people believe that future technologies might help us explore these hidden chambers without disturbing the site. They were convinced techniques like ground-penetrating radar and other non-invasive methods would one day give us a better idea of what is beneath the Temple Mount. There are more interesting theories. Jerusalem has many ancient tunnels and caves, so some researchers believe Solomon's tomb was hidden within these underground passages, which were yet to be fully explored. One of the caves is Zedekiah's Cave, also known as Solomon's Quarries. It is a 5-acre underground Melekeh limestone quarry under the Muslim quarter of the Old City of Jerusalem. It spans 5 city blocks and was carved over several thousand years. It is a remnant of the largest quarry in Jerusalem. The cave was a quarry for King Solomon's first temple because its Melekeh limestone is strong, well-suited to carving, and resistant to erosion. It is thought to have been used for royal buildings. The name Melekeh is derived from Hebrew and Arabic words meaning kingly or royal. According to local lore, the cave served as a quarry for King Solomon's first temple. The Melekeh limestone of the quarry is thought to have been used for royal buildings. The name Melekeh is derived from Hebrew and Arabic words meaning kingly or royal. In the 10th century, Muslim geographer and writer Al-Muqaddasi wrote that the cave leads to where the people slain by Moses are buried. But this is not confirmed, and it is also believed to be a stone quarry with passages leading to it. Zedekiah's Cave was said to be the hiding place of King Zedekiah, a Judean king of the 6th century BC. According to legend, Zedekiah hid here to escape the soldiers of the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar during the siege of Jerusalem. Rashi, a biblical commentator, wrote that Zedekiah hid here and fled through the cave to the plain of Jericho. But God sent a buck running along the surface on top of the cave as Zedekiah was walking down below. The soldiers chased the buck and arrived at the cave exit just as Zedekiah was coming out, enabling them to capture and blind him. Zedekiah's Cave is also associated with the Freemasons, who consider it a sacred place. They believe the cave was used as a meeting place for the Knights Templar and contains secret symbols and codes, but this is not confirmed, and the cave's association with the Freemasons is mainly speculative. The cave is currently open to the public and offers guided tours. It has been renovated and restored, and an audiovisual show has been installed to enhance the visitor experience. But some areas of the cave remain closed due to safety concerns or ongoing excavations. Besides Zedekiah's Cave, archaeologists thought Solomon's main tomb was hidden in Hezekiah's Tunnel. This tunnel is part of Jerusalem's water system and is located under the City of David. It connects the Gihon Spring with the Siloam Pool. This tunnel was dug during the reign of King Hezekiah of Judah to prepare Jerusalem for the impending attack of the Assyrian king, Sennacherib. The tunnel exposes the western wall slightly north from where the traditional open-air prayer site ends to the wall's northern end. Most of the tunnel continues the open-air western wall and is located under buildings in the Muslim quarter of the Old City of Jerusalem. A gate called the Warren's Gate exists about 150 feet into the tunnel. This sealed-off entrance was, for hundreds of years, a small synagogue called the Cave, where the early Muslims allowed the Jews to pray near the ruins of the temple. Remains were found of a water channel that initially supplied water to the Temple Mount. The exact source of the channel is unknown, though it passes through an underground pool known as the Struthian Pool. The Struthian Pool is a large cuboid cistern that gathers rainwater from gutters on the foreign buildings. Before Hadrian, this cistern had been an open-air pool, but Hadrian added arch vaulting to enable the pavement to be placed over it. Archaeologists and scientists aren't the only ones who have come up with theories about where Solomon's tomb was before it was recently found. Proposed locations of Solomon's tomb. A few scholars propose Mount Zion, a hill in Jerusalem traditionally associated with the city of David, as a potential location for the royal tombs of the Davidic dynasty, including Solomon. But this theory is based on a misconception. The widely held belief is that King David is buried on Mount Zion, but this is inaccurate. In reality, King David was buried in the southeastern area of Jerusalem's real old city, located south of the Temple Mount and Dung Gate, and is known today as Ir David, the city of David. In 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 10, the Bible references King David's burial site, stating that he died and was buried in Ir David, the city of David. Despite this, Zion appears in the Tanakh about the original ancient Jerusalem. In the Middle Ages, Byzantine pilgrims mistakenly thought the hill south of today's Old City's Armenian quarter was part of that ancient city and named it Mount Zion. The city captured by David was on the lower hill to the south of the Temple Mount. That lower hill was the site of the Jebusite city, which then became King David's capital and constituted the whole of Jerusalem for probably more than 200 years, until it gradually expanded westward and incorporated the area today known as Mount Zion. The silly notion that King David is buried on Mount Zion developed for centuries. During the middle of the 2nd century CE, Jerusalem was razed, Jews were banished from the area, and the knowledge concerning the actual location of King David's tomb was lost. The first clue to the location of the royal burial site is from the Bible, which states that King David, his son King Solomon, and the kings of Judah who followed for the next 150 years were buried in Ir David. This likely refers to a subsection of the modern-day area known as the City of David. French archaeologist, Egyptologist Raymond Weil went searching for the tomb in 1913. He was successful in finding important artifacts and possibly the king's graves themselves. He discovered 8 artificial cave-like structures that he described as tombs, as well as a 9th cave, in a second expedition between 1923 and 1924. He designated these caves T1 through T9 and proclaimed that the most monumental, T1, was King David's tomb. After hearing these many theories, some believers think the tomb of Solomon was intentionally hidden to protect it from looters and invaders, a common practice for royal burials in ancient times. There are theories that Solomon's tomb could be in a less obvious location, possibly outside the traditional City of David area, due to political or religious reasons during later periods of turmoil. The Seal of Solomon, also known as the Ring of Solomon, is a legendary signet ring attributed to the Israelite King Solomon in medieval mystical traditions. It is often depicted as a pentagram or hexagram, and in mystic Islamic and Jewish lore, is said to have given Solomon the power to command supernatural entities and speak with animals. The earliest references to Solomon's seal or signet come from Jewish traditions. It is first mentioned by the 1st century Jewish historian Josephus. It is similarly referenced by the 3rd century Jewish magical text Sefer Harazim and an Agadic section of the Tractate Gittin within the Babylonian Talmud. After over a decade of renovations costing almost 1 million euros, the Tomb of the Kings in Jerusalem is finally open to the public. Medieval Europeans believed the site contained the burials of King David and King Solomon, and although this theory has been disproved, the name is still attached to the site. The tombs were originally constructed in the 1st century CE, but were reused for many years afterward. At first, the site was excavated in 1863 by the French archaeologist Louis Félicien de Saulcy, who sought to confirm that the tombs belonged to David and Solomon. During this excavation, considered by some to be the first ever modern archaeological dig in Jerusalem, several coffins were discovered. One of these coffins, now in the Louvre Museum in Paris, was inscribed with two lines of Aramaic that read Tzadkan the Queen and Sada the Queen. It is possible that Solomon's tomb was hidden or relocated to avoid destruction or desecration during times of conflict or political upheaval. This theory is supported by the fact that many royal tombs from ancient civilizations were often hidden or protected to prevent looting or vandalism. The location of Solomon's tomb may have also been intentionally disregarded or forgotten over time due to political or religious motivations. Even with these uncertainties, the search for Solomon's tomb is still an interesting topic for historians, archaeologists, and believers. Apart from theories and speculations surrounding the search for Solomon's tomb, some artifacts have been found in the city of David, where the tomb is believed to be. If you look closely, some of them actually gave away the location of Solomon's tomb. Artifacts such as bullae and seals bearing names from the biblical period have been found in the city of David and have been back to the time Solomon was alive to help better archaeologists locate his most likely tomb. A bulla is an inscribed clay, soft metal, such as letter tin, bitumen, or wax token used in commercial and legal documentation as a form of authentication and for tamper-proofing whatever is attached. From 8000 to 7500 BC, the Sumerian agriculturalists needed a way to keep records of their animals and goods. Small clay tokens were formed and shaped by the palms to represent certain animals and goods. As the clay tokens and bulla became challenging to store and handle, marking the tokens on clay tablets became more popular. Clay tablets were more accessible to store, neater to write on, and less likely to be lost. Imprinting the tokens on clay tablets was more accessible, but using a stylus to inscribe the impression on the clay tablet was shown to be even more efficient and much faster for the scribes. Around 3100 BC, signs expressing numerical value began to appear. At this point, clay tokens became rare to find. The Sumerians developed a complicated system of metrology as early as 3000 BC. From 2600 BC onwards, the Sumerians wrote multiplication tables, division problems, and geometry on clay tablets. The earliest evidence of the Babylonian numerals also dates back to this period. As papyrus and parchment gradually replaced clay tablets, bulla became the new encasement for scrolls of this new writing style. Documents were split into two halves, separated in the middle by multiple perforations. The top half was rolled into a scroll, and a cord would wrap this section tight, going through the perforations. Clay was imprinted on the cord to avoid unauthorized reading, and the bottom of the document was then wrapped around the first scroll. The earliest known tokens are those from two sites in the Zagros region of Iran, Tepe Asyab and Ganji Dare Tepe. Scamant Besserat could work back in time and saw the same shapes from cuneiform to pictographs to these tokens. The term bulla was eventually applied to seals made out of metal. Although the most typical form of bulla was made of lead, it was sometimes made of gold, as the ones affixed to the several golden bulls issued by the Byzantine emperors, Holy Roman emperors, and various other monarchs in the Middle Ages. 6 official clay seals found by an archaeological team at a small site in Israel have some evidence that supports the existence of biblical kings David and Solomon. Many modern scholars dismiss David and Solomon as mythological figures and believe no kingdom could have existed in the region at the time the Bible recounted their activities. The new finds provide evidence that some type of government activity was conducted there in that period. Artifacts such as bullae and seals bearing names from the biblical period have been found in the city of David, indicating the administrative importance of the area during Solomon's time. Do you think Eilat Mazar has really succeeded in finding Solomon's lost tomb? And what do you think scientists will discover next? Please share your thoughts with us in the comments. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next updates.